The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Hey there, it's Dr. Shirley. Welcome to 15 Minutes of FAB, a segment of the Forever Fab podcast, where I review products, services, experiences, and frankly, whatever, in 15 minutes or less with a wink. Sometimes it's less than 15 minutes, sometimes it's more than 15 minutes, but like the average is 15 minutes. If the full-length podcast is like a couture dress, then 15 Minutes of Fab is a button-down Henley and a pair of leather leggings. So if you don't have time to tune into my full-length podcast, then check out 15 Minutes of Fab. Some have considered this truth and beauty, plastic surgery secrets, or kind of like a nerdier academic take on wellness and beauty. But consider it what you may, my aim is to engage you as a credible and authoritative voice in most, if not all, aspects of beauty and wellness, with a splash of fashion. And those topics include products, beauty products, wellness services, technologies, new scientific research in health and wellness and beauty, and innovations in plastic surgery, among other things. And as the founder of Holistic Plastic Surgery, which I am the originator, hello, my approach to beauty is through a lens of wellness that's grounded in science, backed by medical study and research, strengthened by my clinical experience, and bolstered by my surgical training with the use of principles and techniques of plastic surgery. I mean, that's the foundation. Those are the pillars upon which I dish this stuff, okay? I feel uniquely qualified, seriously, to talk with you about beauty, wellness, aesthetics, plastic surgery, innovations, technologies, as well as products and services within those spaces. Again, with a dash of fashion. And I feel uniquely qualified not only because of my extensive, and might I add, expensive training and expansive background, but also because I'm one of you. Many of the human issues around aging and being a fierce fab person, as well as an agent for positive change, I live these too. I try to do those too. So you're not alone. Together we can help the world to become a more beautiful, forever fab place. I really believe that. So I've decided, moving forward, to make this year one of discovery and expansion. So I'll be exploring various topics, near and far, relatable and perhaps unrelatable, in addition to the fab content that this podcast and 15 Minutes of Fab normally focus on. Fashion, the art of living well, right, or wellness, and beauty. So that said, rather than starting a timer in alignment with a topic, whoops, little preview there, in alignment with today's topic, which is a bit more on the woot-woot spiritual side, rather than start a timer, I'm going to give you a few gongs of my newly presented, fabulous, gifted crystal singing bowl. I think all the notes are G notes for those of you out there who are musicians. So we will get this started with a few notes. That's like music to my ears. Those notes are so fabulous. Oh, I love my crystal singing bowl. Thank you. As part of my philosophy of holistic plastic surgery, where I believe that beauty emanates from within, wellness plays an integral role in my practice. This goes for many aspects of life that help to give you grace, that help to have you live in grace and beauty. And those things include nutrition, exercise, products, technologies, mind, body, science, and spirit. So let's learn something new for today. The title of this episode is Lucky Number 7. Ooh, I'm sure you're excited to figure out what lucky number 7 has to do with. Well, today we are going to learn something new. At least I am. So let's do it together, shall we? We're going to talk about numerology. And one of the sources of my background research on this numerology topic was science.howstuffworks.com. So feel free to go to that site, check it out. So what is numerology? I had an idea basically of what it was, like it had to do with numbers, but I really truly didn't understand exactly why it existed. I also knew from my previous forays into the woot-woot, I also knew that like if you added up your birth dates, like your month plus the day, and I think plus the year, like you would get this number, and then that number would sort of tell you stuff. But let's be official about it, because I did do some research. So numerology is an aspect of astrology. That I didn't know, but it is. It's also known as arithmancy, and it describes the, quote, magical properties of numbers. And again, that definition is from science.howstuffworks.com, as is a lot of this data, a lot of this information on this topic. So that site also states that, quote, according to numerologists, everything in the world is dependent on numerical patterns. These patterns come from each number's inherent vibrations and specific energies. End quote. According to the Times of India, that publication states that numerology, quote, helps you to find the concealed meaning of the world, end quote. That sounds so like mystical and fascinating, intriguing, kind of sexy, right? The concealed meaning of the world. Also, and this is if you believe in it and ascribe to it, numerology can help guide you in life, allegedly. Again, as quoted from the Times of India, quote, you can never go back and change your past, but you can always make the best of your future. And numerology is that gateway which will help you to do so, end quote. Like that sounds kind of cool. So let's see. From a historical perspective, numerology is based on mathematics. So, you can't lie about the numbers. And the science section, again, of howstuffworks.com describes numerology as follows, quote, most numerologists credit the Greek philosopher Pythagoras. Do you guys remember the Pythagorean theory? Oh my gosh. Anyway, the Greek philosopher Pythagoras as the founder of numerology. Pythagoras and his followers studied mathematics, music, and philosophy. So at least, by those standards, they were kind of normal. Now, many textbooks also credit the Pythagorean school with several important discoveries. So it's not just like Pythagoras and his peeps discovered the woot-woot numerology, but according to many textbooks, the Pythagorean school, meaning Pythagoras, the Greek philosopher, and his tribe, also discovered the Pythagorean theorem, the mathematical proportions and musical harmonies, and the first irrational number. So again, that's like heady stuff. That seems important. Pythagoras and his followers believed in the mystical properties of numbers. And they organized numbers into categories based on math, and their geometry. I guess how they looked and were spatially arranged, I guess. But they also assigned character traits to the numbers as well. So number 1 would describe your character. Number 2, your energy. Number 3, creativity. 4, health. 5, intuition. 6, your work or career, or I guess the work or career you're better suited to. 7, luck or lack thereof. 8, your duty or sense of responsibility. 9, your memory. And 10 is considered a sacred number because 10 is the sum of the first 4 numbers. And until I read that, I just thought number 10 was like 10, the first double digit, right? But it is a sacred number because it is the sum of the first 4 numbers. So after Pythagoras died several hundred years ago, numerology kind of disappeared, but then it reappeared. And this is also a direct quote. In the late 1800s, a Mrs. L. Dow Bayet published several books on numbers, on number vibration, on music, and on colors. And according to Mrs. L. Dow B, according to her, each number has a specific vibration. So people, foods, objects, and colors also vibrate. She believed that in order to live a productive and harmonious life, people should try to make sure that their environment vibrates in harmony with their own vibrations. End quote. That doesn't seem far-fetched to me. That actually sounds like it makes sense. And it may not sound the same. You may not use the same words, like numbers vibrate or colors vibrate. But I'm sure you've all experienced that you meet someone and you automatically know that, yeah, this person's cool. Or you meet someone and like your insides are jumping up and down, like, get away from this person. Or that you gravitate towards certain colors and not others. Or you have a favorite number, or favorite color, whatever the case may be. I kind of think that this Mrs. L. Dow Bayet had, something going on there, something interesting. As expected, of course, there's been little scientific study to prove or disprove any of these claims. So, that's a direct quote from me because my science brain is kicking in. Nevertheless, I have to admit that we do know that everything is matter, right? And matter is energy, right? Energy has frequency. Energy is made up of things that vibrate. So it may be reasonable to argue that it's worthwhile to have your energies positively aligned, whether that's for better health, for better relationships, for a better career, or for life in general. So I get it. Again, I'm suspicious about whether it's just numbers. I'm sure it's a number of things, but ultimately that message about having things positively aligned for your health and well-being makes sense to me. Now, depending on which system of numerology that a neurologist uses, the numbers may correspond to letters. They may also correspond to your birth date and more. So let me dig into this a little bit deeper. Allegedly, those numbers may tell you about lucky days, lucky numbers, optimal career paths, or leadership positions that you should pursue, negative tendencies you should avoid, positive attributes that you have that you should emphasize, what to look for in a romantic partner. So maybe this numerology stuff is useful. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But anyway, that's the primer on numerology. So those are sort of the basics. Let's bring things back to the topic and back to the present moment. This is a new year, right? And this new year, 2023, according to numerologists, is a 7 universal year. Why? Because the 2 plus the 2 plus the 3 of 2023 adds up to 7. And numerology.com states that this year is all about accepting and assuming responsibility. Oh my gosh, again, like I feel like I've been doing that every day, every week, every month, every year for all my life. But I guess, here we go again. This year is about accepting and assuming responsibility. I guess I've had plenty of practice, so I can do it. Now, Christine Delory, and she is the creator of creativenumerology.com. She states also that the 7-year is the year of inner knowledge and learning. Did I say at the beginning of this, 15 minutes of FAB that I was dedicating this year to learning? And that had nothing to do with what Christine said. This was just like, it came to me, so that's what I said. So maybe I'm on the right track after all. So Christine also advises that, quote, 7 emphasizes introspection, emotion, analysis, intuition, reflection, seclusion, research, and faith in big capital letters, F-A-I-T-H, faith. This is meant to be a quieter, inner year in which you can learn the answers to your most burning and often avoided questions. Christine also suggests that you should take or consider taking these actions for the 7-year of 2023. Instead of rushing to find new opportunity, be patient and wait for opportunity to come to you. Slow yourself down. You must seek what feels ideal for you and study and analyze what needs to be learned in order to make it a reality. Although your life will be moving slowly, it is possible for significant things to happen, but these advances should be seen as stepping stones to the greater potential that will present itself next year. When deep emotions arise, feel them, experience them, do not deny them. Everyone in your life is now reflecting your reality back to you. Their behaviors and attitudes can teach you a lot about yourself and provide vital information as to what is happening in your life and on this planet. Use this year to gain knowledge, confidence, and expertise. Realize just how unique and gifted you are. Accept that you are a free spirit. Embrace the diversity of life and your place in it. Christine adds, this year of introspection and soul searching is a chance to rediscover yourself as you are now and to let go of the person you once were. This is your year to learn the basics of magic. Yes, I said magic because Christine said magic. The secrets of manifestation is what she means. The laws of abundance is what she adds. The will must determine what it wants by the way that it feels. So how do you feel about stuff? Let it be. If you think you already know your true identity, you may be in for some interesting and possibly shocking revelations. Allow them. After the multitude of changes and adjustments that the 6th universal year brought us in 2022, it's time for the world to acclimate to a new pace and make the most of our new reality. So, Christine Delory had a lot to say. If you want more, go to creativenumerology.com. But the writers of that site, of Christine's, as well as, the science.howstuffworks.com, they basically make some goal-oriented suggestions to help us all along in 2023. So I'm calling them the FAB 5 from a combination of me, Christine, and numerology.com. So the FAB 5 for 2023, how to greet 2023 and fabulousness are: number 1, work towards something meaningful. Number 2, strengthen your existing relationships. Number 3, increase your social circle. Number 4, seek out stability and operate from a place of groundedness. And number 5, which is my own, Continue to evolve into the person you are meant to be and grow into the role you were born to play. This concludes this episode of 15 Minutes of FAB. As always, stay beautiful and forever fabulous inside and out. Thank you for listening to this week's Forever Fab podcast episode of 15 Minutes of FAB. Until next time, stay beautiful and fabulous inside and out. If you like this episode of 15 Minutes of Fab on the Forever Fab podcast, please share it and subscribe to the feed. Listen to past episodes and check out who's coming up next on foreverfabpodcast.com. If you enjoy listening to the Forever Fab podcast, get more audio and visuals with a membership through Patreon. Choose the gold, platinum, or diamond tier for premium added content, special co-host, lifestyle videos, branded merchandise, and more by visiting patreon.com/foreverfab. If you are the founder or represent a beauty brand and want to be featured on an episode of the Forever Fab podcast segment of 15 Minutes of Fab's product reviews, send me some stuff. Visit foreverfabpodcast.com and fill out the contact form. And for general holistic beauty tips or set up an appointment with me, you may want to discuss your personalized options for leveling up your beauty in the new year. So go to elementsandgraces.com and sign up for my newsletter or just contact me. And for an online e-consultation on time, anytime on your time, visit clicklift.com for your wellness, plastic surgery, and beauty questions on the go. That's click-lift.com. It's time for the elevated house call. Jet Set Beauty RX offers on-call services near your home or other domicile, delivering beauty in the privacy of a medically equipped, mobile, fabulous aesthetics unit. Reserve your spot at jetsetbeautyrx.com.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.